So as you saw earlier when we were talking about the top trending topics, it was very much about that presser that took place yesterday where the EFF and the Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa, Contralesa, held a joint press conference in which they agreed that Section 25 of the Constitution must be changed. And it follows a meeting between the two parties where they are reported to have ironed out their differences on the role of traditional leaders on the issue of land expropriation without compensation. So to discuss this further with us this morning, we're now joined by Contralesa's General Secretary, Zolani Mkiva. Thanks so much for coming in.
Pleasure is all mine. Good morning, and good morning to the viewers.
So let's start here. Please explain to us Contralesa's role and also their view on expropriation of land without compensation.
Contralesa supports the expropriation of land without compensation. And this is our old held view. We are saying that we should do it like that simply because the majority of land in South Africa is in the hands of private hands as well as foreign hands. And we think that our freedom is incomplete without the reclamation and restoration of the land to the African majority. We went to struggle precisely for that reason, to restore land back to the people that it belongs to. So it's not a new thing, and we believe that expropriation without compensation is the best mechanism because the last 24 years have seen the willing buyer, willing seller thing. It's not working. If we were to continue in any other way other than expropriating without compensation, this issue will take more than 500 years. We want to see the restoration of land to the African majority happening in our lifetime as soon as possible. We don't see anything difficult with it. If the Constitution is not having the right teeth to do that, therefore let's amend the Constitution. Hence we say that Section 25 needs to be amended to allow the Constitution to be able to have effectiveness to do what we want to see happening within the framework of the law.
So what is interesting at this stage is that the EFF and the ANC seem to be in agreement on this particular matter. So it was rather curious that Contralesa came out in this press conference with the economic freedom fighters, when we know that traditionally Contralesa backed the ANC when it came to matters of election. I remember before the 2016 election, Contralesa was actually, coming out saying to the ANC, well, you only use us as voting fodder when the time comes to vote. So what has changed in that regard? Well,
look, politics are dynamic, much as culture is dynamic in society. And therefore, the National Executive Committee of Contralesa took a decision to engage all the progressive formations in South Africa, political parties, trade unions, and the civil society at large. So in that context, we met with the EFF on the 11th of June so that we can present our case to all of them and to indicate to them what we stand for as the institution of traditional leadership, in order to be able to do away with the perceptions that they might have about what we represent. In that context, we found each other, and they got to understand where we come from. Remember that it was traditional leaders who were at the forefront of the wars of resistance and wars of dispossession. So we were quite very eager to meet the EFF in particular because the EFF is a new political party which has brought vibrancy in the politics of the country. You see what they are doing in Parliament. They are raising topical issues very sharply. And we thought that as Contralesa, it's important that we interface with them because they were also very vocal on the land question. And the land question has since moved quite very fast. But it doesn't mean that we are cutting ties with the ANC. Contralesa is born in the womb of the liberation struggle, long before the EFF was in place. But the reality of the situation is that the EFF is in existence and it is a serious player in the politics of South Africa. It's youthful, it's zealous, and we acknowledge their role in society. However, we are engaging the ANC. On Monday, the 2nd of July, we met with the national officials of the ANC to talk about the very same matters. And you are correct to say the ANC and the EFF supports expropriation of land without compensation. In its 54th conference at Nazareth last year, December, the ANC resolved unanimously in that conference that they support this And we think that it is going to go through this amendment of the Constitution because it's supported by both the ruling party and the EFF. And surely there's going to be more than 2/3 majority for this thing to happen. And Contralesa has to step up because there's also an issue of communal land. And this whole debate has been defocused. And there were some politicians who also implied that the 13%, which is the few pockets of land under the hands of the African majority, is also to be expropriated. And we needed to ensure that that is not about to happen and it will never happen. So the focus will be on 87%, which is stolen land, which is land that was taken against the African majority in a criminal and a brutal way.
And we'll come back to talk more about that after this break.